Hi, coaches. Welcome back to the Parent Empowerment and Coaching in Early Intervention, or PEACE, Implementation Toolkit video series. Today, we're going to talk about another very important coaching strategy called feedback. Giving feedback in caregiver coaching is providing positive or constructive comments about how a caregiver is using an intervention strategy. Providers will often engage with the caregiver in conversation during sessions, which is a great way to build rapport with the family. But giving feedback within coaching is more than having conversations with families. It involves providing specific comments about how the caregiver uses intervention strategies with their child. The point of giving caregivers feedback is to help them improve their use of that strategy with their child. Let's go over some of the key components of giving caregivers feedback during sessions. One important part of giving caregivers feedback is to comment on specific strategies that are working well. Praising caregivers for using strategies well during sessions can help them gain confidence in using that strategy outside of sessions with you. You can say things like, "Great job with giving him choices," or "I really like how you waited for her to ask for more before you gave her another cracker. Nice job." Positive feedback should be brief, specific, and provided often during the session, not just at the end of the session. You can also provide positive feedback through your affect and facial expressions. Sometimes, an enthusiastic smile, head nod, and thumbs up are great because they don't interfere with the great things the caregiver is doing. Let's take a look at some examples of this happening during sessions.
Great job using the hand over hand and adding that language in.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay. What happened?
I love the way you just imitated her gesture, Mom.
Right?
Yeah,
Like that was
that's
a
good.
up.
And you're doing great with trying to figure out other things to do to kind of expand his engagement, which is awesome.
I like that you waited there. In each of these videos, you saw the providers telling the caregivers exactly what they did that worked well. It was brief and specific, and cued the caregiver into what they were doing well. Another important feedback strategy is to provide suggestions about how to use strategies differently. We get better at doing things when others point out how to do them better. Feedback about how to use an intervention strategy is intended to help caregivers learn how to use those strategies. Some providers have said they don't like giving caregivers feedback because they don't feel comfortable telling them what to do. Others have said caregivers don't like getting feedback. We've spoken to a lot of caregivers, and they all said they like when their providers show them how to use strategies better. How you deliver feedback is important. Feedback should be in the moment and delivered as a suggestion about how to use strategies. Using a supportive tone is important. Here are some examples of providers giving caregivers feedback about strategy use.
Next time you prompt for the dame, let's see what happens if you say it, but don't put your hand out. Like, don't give that visual. Just say it and see if he hands it over to you.
So try to go closer to her face, Mom, up front. Yeah, thanks.
So when you offer him, Mom, don't forget to offer him two choices and let him see it.
In each of these clips, again, we saw that the feedback was brief, specific, and immediately following something the caregiver did. This is a critical part of coaching. As a coach, you are observing what the caregiver is doing and telling them how they can do it better to improve their performance. Sometimes, you may want to give more explanation when you give constructive feedback. This helps the caregiver understand the rationale for why you're telling them to do something differently, and is also an important part of coaching. Here's what that might look like during a session.
Open.
So let's try this time. Let's just kind of wait him out, and if he doesn't go for the ball in the back of the truck, prompt him with that question, "Where's the ball?" Right, so it's less support than you showing him. No, so leave the ball in there. So it's when he doesn't go for the ball in the back of the truck, that's when you can use the question to help him go for the ball.
In this clip, we see the provider give Mom constructive feedback and explain exactly what she wants Mom to do differently while practicing a strategy. You should also allow sufficient time for the caregiver to practice the strategies you're teaching them. The best way to make sure a caregiver understands how to use the strategies you're teaching them is to allow them to practice those strategies during your sessions. It's important that you are there to observe their strategy use so that you can provide the caregiver with meaningful feedback about what went well and what could have gone better while they were using the strategy. Watch how this provider allows time for the caregiver to practice a strategy with their child.
All right, you guys are already kind of in there playing, so I'm going to start talking a little bit, and I'll let you guys play, and I'll jump in with coaching and plays when necessary. Okay?
Okay. Inside, look. Inside, Jace. Inside. Inside. Here you go. Yes, you do it.
Great job using some animation to grab his attention.
In this video, we see the provider take a step back to let the caregiver practice, and she's also available to give brief and specific feedback when it is needed. Another important part of feedback is to point out how caregivers' use of strategies are affecting their child's progress. Pointing out how a caregiver's use of certain strategies directly relates to their child's progress can be a powerful motivator for caregivers to continue using those strategies. Here's an example of that.
I gotta work. Okay, so I did like that though. You paused, and then he actually was looking at, I don't know what you call that thing you write with, and he waited a little bit. He didn't look up at you, but then he went and put it back in your hand and started to vocalize to get you to do it.
In this clip, the provider pointed out how she liked the strategy Mom was using, which led to improvements in the child's ability to wait and vocalize what he wanted. So, we've gone over what giving caregivers feedback is, and we've seen what it can look like during actual sessions. Let's talk about why giving caregivers feedback can be beneficial for your families. It increases caregivers' understanding of session content. Giving constructive and positive feedback improves caregivers' confidence in their skills. It helps caregivers identify targets for change, and when we ask caregivers how they feel about receiving feedback, they told us that they really like it because it allows them to gain the skills they need to help their child succeed with daily activities. By giving caregivers feedback, you help them better support their children outside of sessions with you and give them the opportunity to learn strategies that will help their child thrive in their natural environment. So, let's empower caregivers by providing them with the feedback they want and need to help their child gain necessary skills.
Do you have any questions or ideas? Please email us at peaceforimpact@penmedicine.upenn.edu. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.